Post.
Welcome, my friends, to the Far Post podcast, presented by Massachusetts 250, commemorating a history of possibility. Plan your revolutionary weekend at massachusetts250.org. I am your host, Jeff Lemieux.
Boo. I love it. Such dedication.
Feels good. It's been a few months. Every now and then I need the reminder.
Oof. They're extra feisty today.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
They've been letting it get pent up for a couple of months.
There's been a lot of frustration building up.
There really has.
Yeah.
And look, if I can be that human shield for
You're
other
a man
people,
of the people.
because I can take it. You know.
You know what I noticed? I've been meaning to ask you.
Yeah.
You say Massachusetts, not Massachusetts. Which one is it?
I don't know. I grew up in Massachusetts. I guess I say.
Which one do you say?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Choose like a hard S.
Choose.
You have more like a Z in there, like a choose-its.
Choose it.
You know, maybe that's a Cape Cod thing.
Ooh,
You got
some
pent up anger.
That's what you weird
about
capey
the
say.
capies.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, I'm joined, unfortunately, for something like the 400th time, literally, by Carl Conlon and Jason Dalrymple.
It's great to be here.
All three of us have been here so long that we had the absolute pleasure of working with today's guest during his playing days with the New England Revolution. Now, listeners may remember the last time we recorded an episode of this podcast was live at the club's alumni night. That was back on August 9th. So it's been a little while.
Feels like years ago.
That night, it does kind of feel like years ago. We had 10 club legends packed into an hour-long podcast telling stories of the first 29 and a half seasons of the New England Revolution. Well, today we have someone who, for good reason, wasn't able to be there that night, but we are so thrilled to have him join us now. He is Revolution legend Steve Ralston. Raleigh, a round of applause. I know the fans listening are applauding themselves as well. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure, guys. I'm looking forward to this.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Doing good. We've got beautiful weather here in California. How's it out there in Boston right now?
It's starting to cool off a
Starting
little
to get
bit.
a little chilly. Yeah.
You know, it's
Ice on the cars this morning, so.
yeah, today was the first day where really you did have to maybe scrape a little bit of the ice off the car. I'm sure you remember that from the days in New England.
I certainly do.
But at least the sun's still out. You know, what do you do about it? Well, quickly, I'm sure most fans listening to this show probably have a decent idea what you've been up to over the course of the past 15 years or so. But just for those who don't know, Raleigh, you're currently an assistant coach with the San Jose Earthquakes, or as we lovingly refer to them here in New England, Revs West. You take a look down at that San Jose roster. I mean, Noel Buck, DeJuan Jones, Dave Romney,
Ian Harkes,
Mark Anthony Kay, Nick Lima. There's a few former Revolution faces on that San Jose roster. The coaching staff as well, though, of course, led by Bruce Arena. But then you got you on the coaching staff, Shalry Joseph, Aiden Brown. And I'm wondering, do you, Shalry, and Aiden do you have like old Revs training gear you guys bust out? You just head out on the field, relive the glory days a little bit?
We haven't done it yet. We've talked about it. We definitely have. I still have a lot of my Revolution stuff, and that would be kind of fun to do that again, though.
How many minutes you still got in the legs?
Not much. Not much. We do have a few staff games occasionally. Aiden doesn't play in those anymore. I have to do a lot of the running for Shalry still, and he's still bulldozing people on the field. So it's been fun to see.
Yeah, I know a lot of coaches, certainly when they go straight from their playing days into coaching, which you did in the middle of the 2010 season, you went from a player to an assistant coach with the Houston Dynamo. And I know a lot of guys, when they make that shift into coaching, like they still get into training quite a bit. You know, whether you just need extra numbers or whatever it is. Like even Jay, when he was the head coach here, used to join into training every now and then.
Oh, he used to join more than like he was allowed to. He'd be like, don't tell anybody I did this.
He played on our Scores Cup team one year and was wrecking people.
He did. That was a little bit of a ringer situation, which I appreciated. But how long do you still hop into training every now and then? Do you still do it now? Or how long did you kind of continue joining in the extra numbers and training sessions as a coach?
So I did regularly, probably the first, definitely in Houston. And when I came here for a couple of years, I would probably say the first 8 years, I was still jumping in training, and it was great. I loved it. And at one point when I was in Houston, I had been there for, I think, 3 years, and I was training with the guys quite a bit. Dominic approached me and said, "Hey, listen," because the Revolution owned my rights for 3 years once I retired. And he mentioned to me when that 3 years was expiring, "Hey, would you be interested in coming back to play?" And at that point, I'd been out of the game for a while, and I just, as much as I wanted to try it, I just felt it wasn't appropriate to do. But it fed my juices. I've had a lot of people say, "Hey, come out and play in our co-ed league, or come play in our weekend thing." But I never needed to do that because I was still able to join in with the players at a pretty good level, which was a lot of fun.
So do you still play at all now that you're not training as much with the Earthquakes? Do you play like recreationally? How much do you kick the ball around?
No, not at all. Well, the funny thing is, because I did it for a long time, and then we had a coach who did not want coaches to participate at all. It was never allowed to. But now back with Bruce this year, he's like, "Hey, can you jump in?" And I'm like, yeah. So I've been able to, Shalry and I both jump in occasionally in some smaller stuff, and it's been good.
I assume Bruce isn't jumping into those sessions?
He does not. He does not.
Well, Raleigh, I mentioned you were one of several legends who was unable to join us for Alumni Night on August 9th, obviously because you're still involved in the league as a coach, and there are a ton of guys who the reason that they couldn't join us for Alumni Night was because they have jobs in soccer, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But a lot of your former teammates were here for that alumni weekend. I'm wondering if you heard any stories or if any guys talked about what that experience was like on Alumni Night and kind of what you heard from guys over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, I spoke to a few of those guys that were there. I talked to Taylor and to Matt Reese and Jay, and they all said it was a great time. And obviously, really disappointed that I couldn't be there. Would have been really, really great to catch up with those guys and all you and everybody there. Have such great memories, and hopefully we'll be able to do it another time.
How often do you keep in touch with guys? Like, are there group chats? Like, you think of that sort of like mid-2000s team that it was obviously together for such a long time and had so much success, and it seemed like the guys were so close. Like, how often are you still in touch with guys from the playing days?
Yeah, we still have a group chat. A lot of us. I would probably say it's Taylor, Matt, Jay, Doug Warren, Jeff Lorenowitz, Parkey. A bunch of those guys were all on there still together, and we still actually, quite a few of us are still on the same fantasy football league, which we began like in 2002 or 3, where it's our Revolution group. Had a few players come and go, but there's still a core group of us that have been doing that for a long time. And occasionally, I mean, we definitely talk and text individually with one another, but it's still great to have those relationships.
I remember the banter around that fantasy football league. That was something back in the day.
How's fantasy going for you this year?
I'm not having a great season. I did win the league the last 2 years, I think.
Oh.
Not having a great season, although I do have Drake May from the Patriots there, and he's been pretty good for me.
See, I feel like knowing both you and Taylor, you saying, I think I won the league the last 2 years, means you definitely won the league the last 2 years, and you might have won it like for the last 5 years. Whereas if Taylor told me that he won the league the last 2 years, I don't think I'd believe him.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And Taylor's the commissioner, so he tries to change the rules occasionally too.
Of course he is.
Of course.
And he probably makes you call him Commissioner Twellman as well.
He knows I'm not doing that.
Well, Raleigh, one of the things that came up around Alumni Night, when we had Brad Knighton on this podcast, he actually had a trivia question for us. And the trivia question that he had posed was, how many guys can you name who had multiple stints with the New England Revolution, who played with the Revs at one point, left to go play somewhere else, and then came back for a second stint with the Revs? And it was actually a ton of guys. Wow. I mean, Brad Knighton himself being one of those guys, which I think sort of how that conversation started, but like Cano Smith, Kellen Rowe, Joe Max Moore, Shalry Joseph, Juan Agadello, who just announced his retirement, Lee Wynn, who I had forgotten about until we brought up recently, and one that Brad Knighton did not remember until I brought up, technically Steve Ralston, who left the Revs after the 2009 season, went to play with AC St. Louis to kind of start your coaching career as a player coach, ended up rejoining the Revs midway through the 2010 season. And I'm sure you've tried to block that middle of the 2010 season with the Revs out of your memory as much as possible. But a friendly against Cruzeiro, came onto the field, literally played, I think, about 30 seconds, dislocated your elbow, and it was the last appearance you ever had with the New England Revolution. I'm just wondering where that appearance against Cruzeiro ranks on your favorite Revs memories from your time here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not near the top, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know if I would consider. It's a great trivia question, but I love trivia. I don't know if I would consider that because I never played. I guess it was a game. It was a friendly, and like it really was maybe 30 seconds. I mean, I came onto the field and it was almost like the crowd was, "Hey, welcome back," and then I was down and running to the sideline, get my arm put back into place. So I've tried to block that out, and the thing is, like, it was my first game back from doing my ACL. Then I did my elbow, and I think a couple of days later was when Dominic Kinnear called me and said, "Hey, listen, my coach is leaving. Are you interested?" And I was like, "Do you mean now or in the season?" He's like, "Now." And I'm like, I'm looking down, and I got a cast on my arm. Just had a knee brace on. I'm like, maybe it's time. Even though I felt like I could have stayed and played a little bit longer. But yeah, that was disappointing. I thought my return was going to be a little bit different than the way it played out.
I mean, did it end up almost being, when you tell that story, was it almost a blessing in disguise where, like, if you hadn't dislocated your elbow and Dominic Kinnear calls about that job and you say, you know what, I want to finish out this year with the Revs, and you don't get that job, like, did that end up sort of helping begin your coaching career at that point?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was a difficult situation. I mean, I felt like I could still play. I spoke to Stevie about it, and he's like, listen, sometimes the hardest part is just getting your foot in the door. It's a great opportunity. You're 36 years old to go work with somebody. And Dominic is one of my good friends too. So I knew the kind of person I was going to be with, and he was obviously very successful. And it was just an opportunity. I felt like, you know what, this is for the future, a good opportunity for me. As much as I want, like, there's nothing that can replace playing and being a professional soccer player. So that part was definitely hard, but I think it's probably the next best thing what I'm doing.
I have a story that I unfortunately remember about myself from when you dislocated your elbow, because it was 2010. It was my first year in a staff writing role with the Revs. My first 2 years with the club, I was in communications, and I did some occasional writing, but it was 2010 when I really started in as, like, the club's in-house reporter. And I did an interview with you while you were recovering from the dislocated elbow. And one of the questions I asked you was there a moment when you realized that something was wrong as you had gone down? And your answer was, yeah, when I looked down and saw my elbow pointing the wrong direction. And I was like, good answer, good answer. That was a learning moment for me, but yeah, I still tell that story to people too. I'm like, listen to this idiot. You know, you're all going to make mistakes as you're getting into your jobs.
It's all part of the process.
2010, Jeff. I asked Steve Ralston when he knew his elbow was dislocated, and his answer was when my elbow was clearly dislocated. Yeah. Hopefully you've forgotten about that.
Yeah, I did. I was probably on some kind of pain medicine, so I don't remember that. But it was kind of gross. I mean, I remember falling. I felt a crack. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I was like, that's not good. But
I mean, we could see it from the press box. I clearly remember it. And you're like, oh man.
Oh, there's a great picture of it. I mean, one of the photographers that day caught the perfect image of it. As I landed of it in the wrong. It's pretty gross, but it's pretty neat.
Luckily, that one wasn't as clear from the press box as when Preston Burpo broke his leg, and which was that 2010 or was that 11?
That was 11. I think.
That might have been 11.
That was awful. That's the worst sign I've ever heard.
Yeah, I could see that one from the press box, which for fans who don't know is about 150, 200 yards away from that end of the field.
Like your boy Scadaboo yesterday.
Oh, I know.
That was rough too.
I know. Yeah, the Scadaboo injury reminded me of the Sire Sen injury when his ankle was pointing the wrong way. We've had a lot of those.
Yeah.
I'd suggest
Matt Driver, our assistant coach, dislocated his ankle at training one day.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll move on.
Good job leading us down this path, Jeff.
Yeah. This is what the fans wanted to hear.
This is exactly what everyone tuned in to hear. Gruesome injuries, but Steve Ralston.
I did mention that Raleigh, the reason that so many guys couldn't be at alumni night was because of the jobs that you all have in soccer. I mean, some of the guys we mentioned, it's like Pat Noonan, Jeff Lorenowitz, Chris Albright, Shalry, you. I mean, so many guys who, when the careers ended up moving into whatever it is, whether it's coaching, whether it's in a front office, whether it's in broadcast positions. It's like former Revs are everywhere in the soccer world. I mean, did you envision at all, like that 04 to 08 group or whatever it was, group that it feels like so many of those guys ended up in the game. Like, did you have any sort of sense at the time that like these were all guys who were probably going to be able to have careers like that in soccer?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I probably didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those guys, and you mentioned all the people you did, but there's also Cano Smith, who's done a great job now in Providence, and James Riley was coaching briefly in Washington. And there's a lot of guys who have gone on to be really, really good coaches and GMs. And I think part of that is the fact that, our own experiences in New England, with Stevie and Paul, I think those guys were great, and we learned a lot from them. So I'm not surprised that a lot of us have gone on in this role, and I'm pretty proud of those guys because they've done a great job.
You mentioned all of the different roles that these guys hold in soccer, and you got Jay Heaps, who's held all of them on his own. And he was a player, and then he was a broadcaster, and he was a head coach. Now he's a GM and a president. He basically ran the gamut on positions that you can have in professional soccer. Do you think Jay's found his niche now in that front office role in Birmingham?
I think he enjoys it. I think he could be successful in whatever he does. Jay's a super bright guy. I mean, he left and went and worked at Morgan Stanley and was doing a lot of other things. But obviously he missed the game. And as a coach, as a player, wherever it may be, he's going to find a way to get it done because he's super smart, he's personable, and he works really hard. So I'm not surprised to see his successes for sure. Even though he was supposed to be on here with us and he stood us up, he was.
Which unfortunately, it's because he's such a high-powered executive.
Yeah, he's drunk on the power.
He ended up having where you would think on one hand you're like, okay, you got meetings that ended up being more important than the Far Post podcast.
I reject that premise.
Of the Far Post podcast, I can understand.
I wholly reject that premise.
But also, if you're this powerful, couldn't you have just? Yeah, you should be able to push that.
Block
meeting,
that hour on your calendar. What are you doing?
I mean, Steve Ralston's here.
Right.
If Steve Ralston can be here,
yeah,
Jay Heaps can be here. Now, obviously, we're just we're ribbing Jay a little bit because that was kind of when you think of that group of guys. That team that won 3 straight championships from 05 to 07, and so many guys who have gone down with legendary status in Revolution history, but like so many personalities on that team. We think about guys like Twellman and Reese and Jay and Shalry and Pat Noonan and all of these guys, all of these huge personalities. And having worked with you always struck me as a little bit more of the more mature kind of guy in that group. I'm wondering what it was like for you as a player being part of that group with so many huge personalities, but who all seemed to mesh really well together, both on and off the field.
Yeah, I mean, it was. There were definitely some big personalities and some type A's in there, but I thought it meshed, and we figured it out, man. We had a great time off the field, but when it came time to play, it was super competitive, and we. Was one goal in mind, that was to win. So it definitely worked. I thought Stevie and Paul managed all that pretty well. They managed it, but they also gave a lot of the power to the players, and we managed it. So I think it was a good combination of guys of the veteran players, the young players, kind of bringing energy, and it was a good locker room for sure.
Yeah, why was Stevie the right guy to lead that group? Because as we talk about people who weren't there on alumni night, it's not just players. We would have loved to have Stevie Nickel there as well, because he's a guy who I don't think I have ever heard a player say that they didn't enjoy playing for. Mm-hmm. And why, when you think of that group of guys and the success that you had, obviously you had to have a super talented group of players, and you had to have a group of players whose personalities meshed, but you also have to have the right guys to lead that. Like, why was Stevie the right guy to lead that group, and how did Paul factor into that as well?
Yeah. For me, I loved coming to training every day. I loved the way we trained. I loved the way that he went about it. We were, like I mentioned, we had a lot of fun off the field, but we knew when you stepped on the field, it was all business. And Stevie and Paul were examples of that, because they were pulling pranks on people as well in the locker room. But when it came to it, it's about competing and winning and getting better. And, he was a player's coach. And for me, I had a lot of love and respect for him. You don't want to disappoint and let him down.
Did Stevie ever play any pranks directly on you?
I don't remember too many directly at me. The ones I remember were mostly against David Vanoli, our goalkeeper coach. I don't know. I'm sure the story was told by those guys at the reunion, but what I remember is that Stevie and Paul. So David Vanoli had gout in his toe, and it was pretty painful. And he had his cleats laid out by his locker. And Stevie and Paul went and exchanged his shoes, got a size smaller, half size smaller, full size smaller, wrote his initials in the back so it looked just like they were his, and put them there. So David would go out and train and come back in, and man, my gout is killing me today. Unknowingly, his shoe was like a size too small. And that went on for quite some time, by the way, before they ever told him or he figured it out. So they were good. They were good about that kind of stuff.
And were guys bold enough to ever do stuff back to Stevie and Paul? I mean, because obviously they could have taken it.
Yeah. I mean, I remember Matt Reese was kind of the main culprit with that as well. He put Steve Nichols has size 14 shoes, but encased them in a bowl of Jello and put them in our locker room in the refrigerator. And so Stevie had to eat his way to his shoes, but it was good. We had some fun ones of obviously like the normal kind of locker room shenanigans of the icy hot and the sliders. And we took Taylor Twellman, one of his tires off his car and put it in his locker. So we had some fun.
The Jello one, I think that was like one of our first YouTube videos. Like we actually recorded that, and I just remember Stevie just being like, "Why did you do this?" Like he clearly didn't watch The Office, but he had no clue. Just like, "Why did you do this? Why we're just going around it, and it wasn't even just like the Jello. It had like the whole like decorations around the side of it too, and it was a whole like Jello mold, but his gigantic cleats were in there. So I think we've shared that before, but I might have to dig that out.
I remember the video. I think that was my first year. Yeah. I remember that one. Well, that's
so Stevie and Paul were like Stevie was. None of them really ever like yelled and screamed at players, but for me it was more about like the way that they treated us and accountability, and just not wanting to let them down. They're definitely players, coaches, and they were a good kind of yin and yang to each other, I guess, as well when needed to be.
Yeah, I remember talking to Gleno recently, Glenn O'Connor, the Revs massage therapist, who's been here for 20 plus years at this point, and he talked about like Stevie's motivational tactics. And I think we were talking about the 2002 MLS Cup, and I was like, what was the pregame speech like to the group? Was it like a rousing speech? And he was like, that wasn't really Stevie, because Stevie was kind of always like, I can't tell these guys anything they don't already know. They're all professional soccer players. Like, they understand the magnitude of this game. Like, it's not going to be me sitting here hyping them up just before kickoff that's going to win them the game. Like, they know what they need to go out there and do. I'm not going to act like I'm going to sit here and be the deciding factor right before kickoff.
Yeah, he wasn't like a big rah kind of guy, but I think, he would try to do the little motivational speaking kind of stuff right before the game, but it was more about the tack, what we need to do, and that we were prepared, and it's about us. It was always about us. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on the opponent. It was always about us.
Well, Alumni Night was really all about kind of telling stories from the past. And as we asked guys, at the alumni dinner throughout the course of the weekend, which guys had the most stories told about them? The two names that came up the most frequently were Rusty Pierce and Emmanuel Osei. I'm wondering if you have any stories fit for public consumption about either Rusty or Osei.
Yeah, so Osei, as we prefer to call him, is the Juice Man. So the Juice, his nick, I think Jeff Arenowitz coined that because he would come in. This is at a time in MLS where there was no breakfast and lunch provided for the players, really. We started getting some scraps, some leftovers from the Patriots locker room coming down to our locker room a little bit. And there was like always little orange juices and apple juice things in the refrigerator. And every day he would leave with a bag filled with like 10 to 15 of these juices every day. So it was like, what do you do? He became the Juice Man. And I remember I was at a park one day with my kids when I came back in 2010, had gone over to this park with my young kids, and I look over and I kind of startled. I see this guy sitting on this big rock, on this boulder, And I'm like, hey, Juice. And he was sitting by himself, hanging out. And my kids were like, what did you call him? I'm like, oh, it's the Juice Man. So they thought it was great. Like, that's like their favorite nickname for any, like, as my teammates. They still talk about the Juice Man. He was a character. I remember I had a free kick one time, and Brad Feldman loves this story. This thing is Chris Tierney and I over the ball, and Emmanuel had been there for maybe a couple weeks, the most, and going to hit this free kick just outside the top of the box. And then Chris and I were talking, and I'm like, okay. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this flash, and it's Emmanuel running full speed from 20 yards behind us, and takes it and shoots and skies it up into like the 40th row. And we kind of look at each other like, what the hell what are you doing? And he kind of just raised his arm saying sorry and ran back to everybody was like, what are you doing? And I think like he was never supposed to be on a free kick, by the way. And he just came running out of nowhere, blasted over the top, and just ran back like not a big deal.
And the thing is, I feel like you were never going to get an explanation from him. It's not like you were going to be able to sit down with him after the game and be like, what was going through your head in that moment? Because when Osei joined the Rebs, I did one interview with Emmanuel Osei when he signed with the team, literally like after his first training session, requested to do an interview with him, spoke with him briefly, talked about joining MLS, what he was going to bring to the team, his hopes and aspirations in the league. And then every single time, he was on the team for 2 seasons? Every single time I asked to speak with him over the course of the next 2 years, his answer was, no, I am very tired. So literally did an interview with him one time after his first training session, and his answer for 2 years was, I'm very tired. Now, I am very tired. Next time. Like, so you said that last time. You're never going to talk to me. Like, what were the interactions like with Osei? Did you ever sit down and have any heart-to-hearts with Emmanuel Osei?
No, he was always too tired. Honestly, he didn't speak. He was a man of few words, and he was pretty private and did his own thing. Maybe we could have done a better job of trying to get him to come out of the shell a little bit, but he kind of liked to keep to himself, and he was a quiet man.
He will forever go down in history as a playoff goal scorer for the New England Revolution.
That's right.
2009, scored a playoff goal.
Did he really?
He did, yeah. I don't remember who, it might have been you who took the free kick. He basically flashed in front of the keeper. It was a free kick that was going on target, and he like flashed in front of the keeper and little flick with his head just under the crossbar. It's a great goal. But
2009 wasn't. I was injured, so it wasn't me. But
gotcha. That was his only goal. His only goal in a Revs jersey was a playoff goal.
I think he was remembered for the free kick more than the goal. Though.
Oh, he certainly was.
Yes.
He certainly was.
What a moment.
I mean, the league itself has evolved quite a bit since those like late 2000s years. It's even thinking back to those mid 2000s teams, the league clubs have just evolved so much. Even over the course of the past like 5 years or so, we've seen significant changes. I mean, one of the biggest changes is the travel, which for 25 years was all commercial travel. Every single time any team in the league traveled was a commercial flight. But since 2020, during COVID, the league shifted to charter travel and never went back. So now, Raleigh, obviously you experience it as an assistant coach. When you travel now, everything's charter, which obviously has its tremendous advantages. But I'm wondering, is there part of you that's sad that this shift basically takes off the board the potential for a random naked guy to attempt to open the emergency exit mid-flight?
No, I'll stick with the charter. It's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, but that is a great story. I mean, and we had. I think the common folk who were flying with us probably hated it because we were asking everybody to change seats all the time so we could play cards, and we'd have to get rows of people to be kind enough to move for us because we got on the plane. We sat there and played cards most of the time. And on that particular flight, we were all in the back and kind of hear a little commotion, or one of the players, somebody came back and was like, "Hey, there's some guy just came out of the bathroom like naked." Went in the bathroom, took his clothes off, came back out, and I'm like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" So yeah, this guy off his meds got up, went to the bathroom, came out naked. I think that they tried to detain him. I don't know. Flight attendants, I think, got him to sit down, gave him a blanket to put over himself, and then he jumped up, made a run for the door, tried to open the door mid-flight, and I think Mike Burns and Craig Tornberg. I think Tornberg tries to take credit for doing it, but I think it was Mike Burns and somebody else. We're part of the group that tried to tackle this guy, and we had to be diverted. We were flying to Los Angeles. I think we had to land in Oklahoma City, maybe, or something like that. We land, and the federal agents get on and take this guy off the plane. But it was kind of a big deal at that moment, like the commotion of what was happening, and somebody trying to open the plane door, which I think is impossible at that kind of elevation to be able to open it. But we landed in LA, and the TV crews were there and gave a bottle of champagne to Tornberg. And it was interesting.
So were you lucky enough to at least be sort of hands off in the actual flight? You just kind of sat in the back and heard about everything happening up front?
Yeah, I was privy to it just from a distance. I was in the back playing cards. I wasn't up there tackling a naked guy. I know that.
These are the stories we'll never have again.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like gentrification, right? You get nice properties, but you lose that essence.
Yeah.
Right? We've lost that in MLS. We've moved past.
I mean, we had flights as well. We were coming back from Brazil or somewhere. We had a layover in Mexico, and our flight was canceled, and we had to get everybody back on different flights. So like, I am flying. A number of us flew into like New Hampshire and a drive down. Guys were flying into New York and taking a bus. Like it was old school, and it's definitely come a long way. And but those were great stories that were at the time you were miserable and we were crushing Tornberg and whoever else was in charge of those sort of things. Even though it wasn't his fault, but we had to take it out on somebody. So.
I remember too, because that flight was 2008. It was my first year with the team. I was probably like 3 or 4 months into the job. And because the team was traveling, like I was on my way home and I got a phone call from Kyle McCarthy, who at the time was one of the beat writers covering the team on a daily basis. And I answer my phone and it's Kyle McCarthy. And he says, "Hey, what's the Revs flight number on the way to LA?" And my first thought was like, well, that's a terrifying question.
Yeah.
You're calling me, asking me what the team's flight number is on the way to LA. And then he explained the story to me. But that's how I found out. Was I'm in my car, my phone rings, it's Kyle McCarthy, and he's like, "What's the flight number?" And my initial thought was like, did the plane go down?
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of what ran through my head. But luckily it was just a naked guy that got tackled by Mike Burns.
And wait, is it impossible to open those doors in flight?
I think so, yeah.
It is? Oh, good.
Yeah, it's good to know.
I worry about that.
It's good to know, yeah.
I watch people all the time, like, where are you going?
Yeah, no, not only, I think they're pressurized in a way that, those things aren't open.
Okay, that's good to know.
Up in the air.
Ah, great.
Don't
great.
try it. I'm not suggesting you try it. But yeah, I mean, part of that travel now, the charter travel, is like teams come back right after the game. Back in the day when teams traveled commercial, you say you play in Chicago on a Saturday night, win or lose, you'd go back to the hotel. Guys might go out, blow off some steam a little bit. You'd fly home on a commercial flight on Sunday. Now, Saturday, game ends, shower up in the locker room, go to the airport, you fly straight home. Like, is there something to be said about losing that night out with the guys after a game?
Well, I'm not a player anymore, but yeah, I think there was. I think that was, I mean, it was team building, right? We definitely had moments and times that guys would go out. It wasn't every trip, but there's times where you're going back after the game. It's hard to sleep, and guys want to go. Some guys will go out, some guys will stay in and play video games. But it's hard to do that anymore. And listen, we played at a time that was more acceptable and open. Today, I don't think the players do that as much as what we did, probably. And I'm also glad that social media wasn't around back then either, too. So
I do remember the story, and hopefully Jeff Loranowitz doesn't listen to the podcast. Oh, it's not that bad for him.
He definitely listens.
He for sure does.
All these former players always listen. They hang on our every word, Jeff.
I remember Raleigh being somewhere must have been probably 2009, and I think we were in Houston, and the team was flying home on a commercial flight the day after a game. You were flying somewhere else from Houston. I don't know if you were going to like Players Association meetings or something, but you were flying somewhere else, but like 15 minutes before the team. So you were on the team bus to go to the airport, but your flight was just a little bit before the team's was. So you were on a little bit of a tighter turnaround. And I remember Jeff Loranowitz was like 5 minutes late to the bus. And you were a little upset because you're like, man, I'm in a rush here. My flight's before yours. Like, we got to get going. And the entire bus ride, Raleigh Jeff Loranowitz over and over just kept going. "Sorry for partying, Raleigh. Hey, Raleigh, sorry for partying, man. Hey, Raleigh, sorry for partying. I still have that, like 15 years later, still stuck in my head.
Well, you're close. It was that the sorry for partying was actually in Cancun, and that was by
But I wasn't even in Cancun.
Spencer Wadsworth, who we
Spencer
drafted out of
Wadsworth.
Duke. He had come on the bus. Was really late. He was a rookie, and we were getting ready. I don't know if we were going to training or to the airport to fly home, but Spencer got on the bus and like was trying to be sincere. Like, guys, I'm sorry for partying. And he was. I mean, you can see it in his face. He was so hungover. And yeah, that was a line that we used for a long time after that.
So I think Lorenowitz was referencing that then, which I didn't know. To me, in my head, I knew that as a Lorenowitz line because he must have been referencing that in that moment, which makes sense.
It must have been for sure. Because I think Jeff's bigger moment happened in Denver. You have to ask him about that one if you have him on.
Oh, all right. Big market tease.
That's a nice segue.
Like that.
Well, Raleigh, we're running out of time, unfortunately. But before I let you go, I do want to ask just one question about this current Revolution squad, because when we talk about the best players in Revs history, we discuss Revolution legends. A lot of the names that come up are from that mid 2000s team that we've spent a lot of time talking about here today. Guys like you, Taylor Twellman, Shari Joseph, Matt Reese, Clint Dempsey. It's a lot of guys from sort of that heyday of the Revs, the 3 straight Eastern Conference championships in 05, 06, 07. But there's one guy on this current squad who is firmly in that conversation of Revolution legends. It's the guy you now coach against and have been coaching against for a while. What has it been like for you seeing Carlos Heel and the way that he has sort of entrenched himself into Revolution lore over the course of the past, 6 or 7 seasons?
I would say I wish I played with him. Like he's a great player. I mean, I love to watch him play, the way that he plays, the way he goes about his business. We played them this year and doing the scouting and like, how do you prepare to try to contain him? Because I mean, most of what they do is because of him. And hearing from Bruce and Shawry, what kind of person that Carlos is and the way that he trained makes me like him even more. And he's one of the best players in our league, obviously. And I really enjoy watching him play. I like his game a lot.
I think it's a testament that he's going to try and get on his left foot every time, and he still gets on his left foot every time. It's incredible.
I mean, that was the same with Preki back in the day. But Carlos, he's not a super fast player. He's quick, but he just gets you off balance, and he can chop it and take you his first couple steps. And he wants to go on his left, but he can play with his right as well. So he's an unselfish player, but he can also score goals. So he's a real one. I like him a lot.
Well, Raleigh, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to join us, take a little walk down memory lane a little bit, tell us some stories. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do this with you again real soon in person at an alumni event in the future.
I think it's good that Heaps wasn't here.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, got to hear Steve talk.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. Jay would have been taking over for sure.
That's like when we had on the podcast on alumni night, I think we had Twellman on with Reese, and the first thing I said was like, Matt, I apologize that you're and Matt, if it was Matt with anyone else, it probably would have been Matt doing a decent amount of the talking. But no, it was pretty much, you could hear Taylor coming from 50 feet away on our mics as he was screaming from across the room.
You'll be shocked to know, Steve, that on the Friday night post-dinner, it ended up with Taylor Twellman holding court, surrounded by the rest of the guys telling stories, just as for everyone in Patriot Place could hear.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I get to see Taylor occasionally when he covers the games, and he is a whirlwind when he comes in, or as he would say, the whirlwind. But he's done a great job, man. He's one of those guys you talked about earlier about people going on to do what they're doing. He's made for that. He loves to talk, and he loves a camera, so he's doing a pretty good job. He's made for that. Yeah,
he's not bad at it. Well, Raleigh, again, we very much appreciate you taking the time. Thanks so much for indulging us. Enjoy the off season and best of luck moving forward into 2026 and beyond.
Always great to talk with you guys. Would love to do it again. Obviously, a lot more stories. We never touched on a lot of the players that we played with that have some good stories too.
Well, we'll have you back as long as you're willing to come back. We'll have you back as many times as you want to chat.
Sounds good. I would love to.
All right. Well, of course, thanks to our presenting sponsor as well, Massachusetts 250. Plan your visit at massachusetts250.org. Revolutions start here. Come see what's next, and come see what's next on the Far Post podcast. We're going to have another episode for you very soon, perhaps one of Raleigh's teammates from those mid-2000s teams. We'll see if we can actually get him, if we can get any time with him.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get one of Raleigh's teammates from that mid-2000s team. Stay tuned, and we will see you soon on the Far Post podcast, presented by Massachusetts 250.